we realized that that was our mistake by going into this industry, which has an end. It's limited, and now we find ourselves in trouble.
How did you first hear that the oranges were getting infected? And how did people react to it?
We were so disappointed.
Yeah.
Because, some people were fertilizing and has fruits on it, but the oranges were sick. And when the Baja people, the Belize something food authority came, they said, "Oh, this is a problem. We have to solve this problem. My trees have lots of loaded with fruits, but you have to cut it." And we invested everything, and now we drop into the ground. And when we had to cut all of it, we have piles and piles of oranges on the ground. You have to burn it. That's what we did. That's how we felt bad. And when you look at it, it's of no use, and it's very hard to feel that that's what you're going to do after you invested so much of it, and now what return you will get. So Baja said, "You know what? We're going to send people to cut it, and we'll give you the bill in the end. You still have to pay for it, even though you don't want to cut it." This disease came into this country in 2005, and nobody knew that was the case until 2009, 2010, when it's already epidemic in that way.
But in spite of our best preventive efforts, one of the first, most destructive and costly plant diseases of this new millennium, thought at first to have been isolated in Asia, is now in our backyard. But it significantly reduces the production of the citrus plant, and it can even kill the tree. Once confirmation has determined the presence of the phloem-limited bacteria on the plant, there is no cure.
Like what they are saying now, you have to spray it like 3 times per year. It's like the chemical they are using, and you have to do it a number of times, 3 times for the year. It's like you can make a choice of if you want to pay $115 per acre chemical, or a $93 per acre chemical, or a $53 per acre chemical. You decide to do that. If you have 10 acres times 53, that's not bad. But if you have 25 acres, etc., and you have to do it 3 times a year, that is a lot of money for farmers. And so that is why the small farmers decided this can go to hell. We don't need it anymore, so they left it. So they are out with this.
There was a time when they were giving away free orange trees or cheap orange trees and telling everybody, look, the price is so much, plant. And then after everyone plants, oh well, sorry, it's not working, or the price just goes down. Or all these, it's not, the plant isn't from here, orange trees are from Asia.
Although there is no cure at this time for the disease, steps are being taken to lower the threat to this important commercial industry.
And we are paying like cess to this organization, which is the research section of citrus, for them to be able to go around and protect, to determine or to detect these diseases before it attacks us. But that was not the case. So everybody failed in this whole program. There was not even a compensation. We asked for compensation. Like, for example, 10 acres of the citrus is gone. We know how much it's going to cost us if we were to make the money. Can you please help us, support us, do something so that we can breed? There's no money for that. So why are we paying cess to an organization and that's not going to look at us and look at our situation? So that was the problem. So in small countries, developing countries like this, a lot of these things do happen, and we are happy to know that there's no help, but we are sad to know that we've got involved and we get nothing out of this. So it's a very painful thing.
Over $1 million, for example, is currently being utilized through emergency declaration assistance from neighboring Oaxaca, Mexico.
It's going to be used for education, to let the growers understand what's happening. It's going to be used for surveillance, to continuously monitor the spread of disease. Since you can't cure it and you're trying to control the spread, you need to always be going out there to see how it's moving. Okay? It's also going to be used to take out backyard trees. Now, the psyllid doesn't know if it's a commercial grove or a backyard. So where you have backyard, meaning in your homes, you have trees that are in our yards, trees that are positive or have psyllids. There's a campaign that's going to be launched to talk about Belizeans who have these trees, to say, listen, let's take this out so we could secure the threat or prevent the threat or lure the threat to our commercial industry.
A lot of times farmers get sort of pushed into this, like they get the trees cheap or they get it subsidized, and they start doing workshops, and the government Nestle will go and drop millions of dollars on a government and say, listen, we want you to promote coffee amongst your people, and we're going to pay you to get these programs going. So the government's like, all right, and they're promoting and getting paid to promote. But who takes the real risk are the farmers. They're the ones that chop their land and that plant this and take loans out from the bank. And then when it collapses, they're like, well, sorry. So the moral of the story is that when agriculture is being pushed on you by a corporation, the corporation's doing it for their own profit. Yeah. And a lot of times the farmers end up taking the risk, which is what you're seeing here. Because citrus, where did that come from? You know, Belize government was pushing citrus. They had Central Farm was growing little baby trees. They were doing workshops about the profit. Now the next craze was teak. They were clearing, bulldozing down forests all over Belize to plant teak. And I was out there preaching to people. 25 years from now, who knows? They're bulldozing forests all over Latin America for teak. Because the Chinese are paying $20 a board foot today. In 25 years, when all these trees mature at the same time, you can't eat teak. And now you're stuck with a bunch of teak. And if some disease comes out and wipes out your teak, because teak is from India, oh well, that's your risk. Yep. So these are things that get pushed on farmers, but when farmers take a loss, well, they've also chopped down the forest that the earth needs for producing oxygen and for regulating climate. So we have to look out to see what corporations are pushing on farmers, because then they lose, we all lose, you know. So I'm very distrustful of my corporate buddies, because they tend to think of their profit at everyone else's expense.
That's very true. We are going to figure out different ways of improving the soil. That's what we're trying to do. Eventually, we will bring it back, but it will take a while. We realized that that was our mistake by going into this industry, which has an end. It's limited, and now we find ourselves in trouble. My father said to us all the time, we wish we would not have been doing this. We wish we were going the way we were going, right? Then maybe we would have hopes in doing something that you can still depend on and will not regret that you have done this and you have to destroy it, right? That's what he keeps telling us. And this is where you have all this nice forest. You can put your house on top there and you live like a king. You have your corn over there, you have your beans over here. Life is real. Than for you to be struggling with chemical and spraying this and spraying that and try to you know, borrow money from the bank and you know, then you can't pay, and then what happens? Your life is miserable.
Are there any other Maya villages that went into citrus like you guys did?
We were the ones who actually went head on.
You the
Yeah, we're the ones.
Down south, none of those Toledo
No, not
villages.
the Maya people, not much of the Maya people. Other groups, but not Maya people. We are the only one who actually went in.
See, these guys are more progressive than a lot of the other villages.
Yeah.
They've like experimented with new crops.
Yeah, yeah. And we realized that, hey, we run into trouble, so it's good we learn. Now we have to learn to do something else, right? And so we're now looking back in the past and say, well, let's bring this. It can come, it will take some time. If I put a lot of this and all of a sudden the market falls again. Say we have, everybody now is into this industry. You know, we have chocolate trees, we have, you know, we're producing, and then all of a sudden they said, but you know what? England said we don't need it anymore. They go somewhere else, maybe Dominica, maybe somewhere else. So what do we do with it, right? Maybe it's good that we are experimenting with somebody trying to be a factory, so that maybe that's a nucleus where, hey, this thing can turn into a big industry one day, big corporation.
There have been some efforts to get these guys a higher price for their organically grown cacao to make it economically worthwhile for them to go organic. We think that the world should be organic, but it's hard to go organic, and it's not profitable for the people who try to be, because it's good for the world and good for those of us who want some organic cacao and not only the sort of industrial Hershey's chocolate, which we also produce here in Belize.
There is a market, and beside the market, it is easier on the environment and it's easier for our purpose, because it requires no chemical, no fertilization, just maintenance. And so that's one of the reasons they decided cacao is the next crop that we should do. And indeed, some people quickly started to plant cacao.
Taste, Papito. You taste it, right?
Got two more.
We have a
Then I want it. Eat it. Like